So we remember the motivation for engaging in this talk. Yeah, so this topic is about refuge. And refuge, there's in the Lamrim, there's all these outlines which help us to navigate the topic and helps us also to meditate on the topics. So that's the sort of, I think, Tibetan invention that they make everything, very detailed outlines for everything. But the general outlines are that, the costs of going for refuge, identifying the objects of refuge, how to take refuge, and then what to do once you have taken refuge. So the causes of refuge, as we've seen, is fear of suffering in general, samsaric suffering in general, and in particular, the suffering of future lifetimes, lower realms. And the second cause is a trust in the three jewels that they can offer protection to you. So then we have to identify the objects of refuge, the three jewels, and why, seeing why they are valid objects of refuge. So like I mentioned briefly, it's there's people who have traversed the entire path, eliminated the obscurations from their mind stream, and thereby arrived at the state of fearlessness, a state of completely uncorrupted compassion and loving kindness, and a state of a power where they can actually benefit others skillfully. So Buddha is said to be a valid source of refuge because such a being has no fear at all, is skillful in establishing others in fearlessness as well, because of having the knowledge, knowing your psychological makeup completely, knowing your karmic history completely, and therefore knowing what to do, tailoring the sort of the spiritual path for you. Not only is skillful in establishing others in fearlessness, but is also interested in doing so because of the great compassion. And not only having a wish to establish others in a state of fearlessness, that is without any suffering at all, but that wish is completely impartial. So because of having trained in the Mahayana path, the compassion, the compassion of a becomes completely impartial. So as we, for bodhicitta, which is the, entryway to the Mahayana path, which is the compassion wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. This compassion needs to be endowed with equanimity, and a very advanced level of equanimity. Is a completely impartial state where you don't say, yes, enlightenment for some, but not for others. Enlightenment for, my friend's family and so on, but not for Benjamin Netanyahu or his wife or Hamas or anybody else that we might feel in our mind they don't deserve any happiness, they don't deserve any freedom from suffering, they deserve to suffer and go through problems and blah, 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 blah. So therefore, not them. Then that cannot become bodhicitta. Bodhicitta needs to be this kind of impartiality. And of course, that impartiality would only arise based on wisdom. We will see later why we can have this impartiality. So Buddha has this impartiality. So unconditional loving kindness, loving you the way you are, with your good qualities, with your faults, not for the sake of the good things that you do, not for the sake of the offerings, not for the sake of worshipping the Buddha, nothing like this. Just by seeing your wish to be happy and not to suffer, and by having trained in the Bodhisattva path, feeling a very close connection to you. So I remember Lama Rinpoche was saying, I think it was in Italy, Pomaya 2017, it was saying like, it was going around because it was going on and on about he was elaborating on the Buddha's compassion and love and so on. And then he was saying like the Buddha achieved enlightenment for everybody, for you. And then, so how can you think that you are not an object of Buddha's compassion? Because, and I was thinking, I had, I don't know, I have this thought sometimes, yes, maybe for others, but not for me. Probably that was at least touching something in my mind at that point. Really? Does a Buddha really, with all the things that I have done, or so Rinpoche was adamant about this for you, And then he stopped himself. And it looked like, I don't know, but it looked like he wanted to cry. Looked like that. But he stopped himself. So because of these four qualities, the Buddha is it's a worthy object of refuge, and thereby, by extension, the teachings that such a Buddha is giving, because it's based on impartial compassion and based on omniscient awareness, it's also object worthy of refuge. And those who are upholding that, those who have internalized those teachings deeply, also worthy objects of refuge. So that comes when we think about how to take refuge. Then there's how to take refuge by way of contemplating the excellent qualities of the objects of refuge, by knowing their differences, by other objects of refuge when you're taking refuge, like ultimate, as your ultimate protection. And there are some other points which don't spring to mind now. But I think one of the main point is sort of to identify who am I taking refuge in, because of course we might have some kind of just vague. Well, I have a vague understanding even after having studied, but if you have not even studied, you just feel there's a presence, a divine presence of some sort. You don't know if it's God, you don't know if it's Buddha, you don't know what it is, but something is there. Something is a presence of a higher being, and a presence of something which is you can feel in yourself as well, from time to time, at least, when you're turning your mind to this object of refuge. It's difficult to identify what it is. So one is encouraged to think about the qualities of the various objects of refuge, to identify them more clearly. What am I taking refuge in? This is a very big subject, so try to just say it in brief. When it comes to the Buddha, we speak normally about the four bodies of a Buddha. The nature body, the nature truth body, the wisdom truth body, the enjoyment body, and the supreme emanation body. So the first two, nature and wisdom, truth bodies, they have to do with the mind of the Buddha. They are on the one side, they're Nature truth body is the emptiness of the mind of a Buddha, the emptiness of inherent existence of that mind, and the wisdom truth body is the omniscient mind, and all the qualities which comes with the omniscient mind, the bodhicitta in the mind of a Buddha, and so forth. Then the enjoyment body and the form and the supreme emanation body, they are the form bodies of a Buddha, but they are not really formed. They are not formed like this, flesh, blood, bones, and so on, but made, subtle bodies made of light. And they are what disciples can interact with directly. So bodhisattvas can interact with, I think I mentioned this in the first talk, no? When we went through the... Anyway, the bodhisattvas, they can mention that they can engage with the enjoyment body, the Arya bodhisattvas. And yes, I did, because I said ordinary slobs like me, that's a sort of a stock phrase in my mind, can engage with supreme emanation body, or with lack of that, with the gurus, who are Buddha's emanations. And when we think about Buddha in terms of enlightened qualities, we see the excellent qualities of the body of the Buddha, the excellent qualities of the speech, and the excellent qualities of the mind. So, in brief, the Buddha's body is very beautiful and created by a lot of virtue. That's what we need to know. Brief, that's the brief. Then the speech is that the Buddha's speech is amazing.
That's very good that you give an overview. This is beautiful, this is amazing.
And then a Buddha's mind is even more astonishing. The Buddha's mind
Beyond words.
beyond words. If we do try to capture it with words, then it's the amazing quality of knowledge, which is the omniscience. So we have to stop and hold our breath and think about the meaning of that. But that's said to be the quality of a Buddha's knowledge, that he knows, she, he, whatever, knows everything. Then maybe the even more amazing quality, according to Chandrakirti, is the quality of the Buddha's compassion. When I think it's in the entering into the middle way, or what's it called, the commentary on entering into supplement to the middle way. I think in the beginning it says he's praising the great compassion of the Buddha. I think Dharmakirti also does that in one text. Like they choose to praise the great compassion of the Buddha over any other quality. This is the most amazing quality. So it is said that just as ordinary sentient beings are bound, helplessly bound by afflictive emotions and karma, so a Buddha is helplessly bound by great compassion, cannot choose not to act compassionately, cannot choose to be angry, cannot choose to abandon, cannot choose to be discouraged or tired and so on, because the compassion is just on autopilot or something like this. So strong. And then the enlightened activities of a Buddha are said to be spontaneous and effortless. So it's the only being in the universe who has completely effortless activities. No need for motivation. Like one monk, he's a dramatic monk, even more than me. Like he was trying to illustrate it, but through a Buddha, and he was showing a meditative equipoise. Then he saw everybody else, people around him. He's just doing what needs to be done, sort of thing. And in Yangsi Rinpoche's book, I saw a presentation I've never seen before. I thought it was quite beautiful, but shown from, I think, a Sangha's one of Asanga's texts showing how the Buddha can interact with the mind of beings. So Buddha is interacting with our minds because our minds are empty of inherent existence, just as the Buddha's mind are empty of inherent existence. So there is no difference in the ultimate nature of our mind and the mind of a Buddha. The Buddha's activities are effortless, spontaneous, and as soon as we have the conditions for well, the way that Yangsi Rinpoche said was that the Buddha's activities acts like a conditions for ripening virtue in our mind. So
If you had the number of the pages,
uh
you look it up and I'll send it.
Okay.
It's nice to see that.
Yeah. So, and it was these kind of analogies of being like our affective emotions or obscurations, a bit like, you know, they're a mist, making our mind foggy and so on. And the Buddha's activities are like wind, blowing them away. There's analogies like this. But it means that a Buddha is not omnipotent being who is sort of rolling his thumbs and waiting for beings to, you know, act according to his plan and checking who is worthy or not worthy, who will judge and not judge, and so on. It is, but Buddha can only act when the conditions are there for the activities to act. So once we create virtue, a Buddha can assist somehow, can interact with the virtue that we have created to help us in our path. Without virtue, no way a Buddha can help. So meaning that a Buddha cannot save a being from going to a lower realm if we have not created virtue. Buddha cannot prevent being going to the lower realm if they have created if they have created the causes for it.
Buddha itself doesn't create.
Yeah.
And the creation is out.
Buddha, yeah. The part and the Buddha can create another part, can interact with what we create. So there's one example, I think, it's not in Rinpoche's book, but in the Great Treatise, it said that while talking about the benefits of refuge, they speak about anecdote about a god who it said that the gods of the desire realm, they have clairvoyance of their life, and they see where they will be reborn. And this god, because it was a he god, he had not created lots of virtue in that life, but only exhausted with it, you know, with so much pleasure and so on. So he saw he would have a rebirth as a pig, and would be was completely horrified. And somehow he got into contact with the teachings, and he took refuge in the end of his life. Because of taking refuge, he was prevented from having a low rebirth. There's these kind of anecdotes of, seeing how by reaching out, there is a hand there reaching out to you, but you have to take that hand. And it is many of these lamas, including Yangsi Rinpoche, they are adamant that if refuge fails us, it is not the fault of the refuge objects, but it's the fault of the people taking refuge, that refuge has not become stable in your mind. You have not generated the genuine causes for a refuge. Our refuge is either non-existent, complete, or it's just lip service. It is not from our mind, from our heart. If we take refuge from our heart, there's no way that refuge can fail us. It's completely infallible. And you were just mentioning about, what's his name? Stephen? folder who was staying in north of Israel, and his home was spared from the rockets of during the war. So maybe strong.
Stephen Folder said, I didn't follow.
Said 2 weeks ago I was in his retreat, so I said he and his wife stayed in Klil during the whole war. Now it's just across the border,
Yeah.
and everybody didn't stay. But he actually believed about the Dharma, but he is protected over there, he and his wife. They said we're not going nowhere.
Okay.
He said it was really, really hard for him and for him. And his family also told him, you're crazy, and what is this behavior? Like, they know everybody's going to some kilometers south, so why are you not doing it? He said, I'm not gonna run, I'm not gonna hide. This is what he believed.
Hmm.
So
I think doesn't make us how do you say, immortal. Refuge doesn't make us
Okay.
immortal, and it doesn't make that we never experience any trouble at all. Even that trouble might be, a blessing from the 3 jewels. If we practice mind training, if we want to develop on the Dharma path, then we want trouble at times, at least. No trouble, no trouble, no, yeah, no development, no pain, no gain. Even though some people like Losang Tenzin Rinpoche says, no, you should believe that there can be gain without any pain. So when we try to practice refuge generally, I think we developed this, there is some kind of sense of protection there. Also, when I was coming to Israel, this lady who was interrogating me at the airport, so she was asking all these questions, and then at some point she said, you know what's happening in Israel? You know what's happening? You don't have fear? No, not really. I have my faith. I have my faith, and so yeah, no fear. No fear. Excellent qualities of the Dharma. So we have also we have ultimate refuge, ultimate 3 jewels and conventional 3 jewels. So ultimate Buddha is the truth bodies, right? Yeah, and the conventional Buddha jewels are form bodies of Buddha. With Dharma, we have the conventional Dharma jewel is the texts, the sutras and the shastras, the commentary, classical commentaries, which are, they have the defining characteristics of showing suffering and the causes of suffering and how to avoid that, or protecting the minds from suffering. I think that's the etymology of Shastra. This is the conventional Dharma jewel, and in order to see the qualities of those, we have to study them. We have to see that, wow, actually the Buddha taught quite amazing things which are factually concordant, which are, if we're into this, but corroborated by modern science. Even there are parallels, so convergences between emptiness and quantum physics, between Abhashika and Newtonian physics, between we have to study ourselves to see the qualities of the Buddha Dharma and the effectiveness of it. And that doesn't force you or ask you to have blind faith, which is the case with many other dharmas, but invites you to investigate, and that it is completely, characterized by compassion. Doesn't ask you to hate anybody, doesn't ask you to harm anybody, doesn't ask you even to convert anybody. So it's quite a unique Dharma system. Then the ultimate true cessation of suffering. So this is what we aim to develop in our own mind. So, and this is because this is the ultimate protection against suffering, and therefore the ultimate refuge. A true path is the mind conjoined with the direct realization of emptiness, which is the only thing which can eliminate the obscurations and their seeds. And a true cessation is a complete or a partial abandonment of some level of suffering and obscurations. So this is what we're trying to develop in ourselves. We're trying to become actually a refuge jewel ourselves. We're not. Yeah. And again, like one friend in the monastery says, in every other religion, this would be heresy. To think that you can become the object of refuge yourself, this would be considered heresy. But in Buddhism, this is the goal. Sangha jewel, conventional Sangha jewel is said to be the gathering of 4 fully ordained monks or nuns. And the ultimate Dharma jewel is an Arya being. So these are objects of objects we take refuge in, and in particular the ultimate objects of refuge. We have the causal refuges. These acts like causes, and then we have the resultant refuge, is what we become ourselves by relying on the causal refuge. Even if it's over a very long time, eventually we become the resultant refuge ourselves. Then knowing the differences between the two, by a brief analogy, the Buddha is said to be like a doctor, giving the procedure and so on that we need to engage in. Dharma is said to be like the medicine or the treatment that we need to practice, and the Sangha is said to be like the helping hand or like the nurses, helping us along the path to implement the procedure. That is, I think, very important to have Sangha. So Thich Nhat Hanh was emphasizing this a lot, like Sangha, Sangha, Sangha. Don't think you can do it by yourself. The Sangha is protection for you, so, and you protecting others as well by being part of the Sangha. So this is very important, and to have harmony in the Sangha. And then not taking ultimate refuge in other objects. So it doesn't mean that we don't respect and appreciate other spiritual traditions. We should, if they are based on loving kindness, compassion, if they have the transformative power, we should respect and appreciate, and not try to, proselyte to those who have other traditions. It means that we don't take ultimate refuge in them, in those objects. So, in gods, because in Buddhism they speak about mundane gods and so on, and protectors, and there's the danger, for some people that they feel more affinity with a worldly god or a protector because of worldly dharmas, perhaps, because they think by praying to them, my business will be better or something like this. But such beings, because of themselves being under the power of karma and afflictions, cannot bring you to enlightenment, and therefore should not be taken as ultimate objects of refuge, but can be appropriated just on a temporal level, like going to a doctor or a car mechanic or something for helping you with a partial thing. And how much time till
We don't. Are we 21?
20 to 1? So we do the light offering now?
Yeah, if we want to have larger one.
Yeah, we do the light offering now. We need the text for the we can read the motivation and then we do the blessing of the light. Do you see as well, Hila? Or do I need to screen share? She sees? She sees? Okay.
Yes, thank you. I see.
So we think like this.
And just explain
Yeah.
for people that are not new, that are new to
Light offerings.
yeah, or what we're gonna do.
Okay. So we are going to make offerings to the 3 jewels. In particular, think about Lama Tsongkhapa because it was just Lama Tsongkhapa Day. And we will do it on the behalf of all sentient beings. And in particular, all those beings who cannot create virtue themselves because of various obstacles. So all the beings in the lower realms, all the beings, all the human beings who are suffering a lot of, have a lot of sufferings and obstacles. And we can think especially on behalf of people in this region. The people that are suffering in Gaza in various ways, from hunger, from not having shelter, from fear. We will dedicate on behalf of all the soldiers who are caught up in like in the conflict. We dedicate for all the politicians who are caught up in their afflictions. And just in general for all the people in this region. Because by creating merit, there's a sort of an allowance for different way of seeing things and a softness of mind and trying to solve conflicts and problems more based on compassion and love. But for that, we need merit. So we will dedicate, make offerings on their behalf to the refuge field. And we will not offer just one light, but we imagine millions and billions of lights filling the entire space. And then we will bless that light by the Ahum and make the cloud offering mantra, which is sort of multiplying the light offering. And finally do the light offering prayer by Lama Tisha, which is in the end of this prayer and booklet, and dedication. Okay. So please think that we're doing this light offering on behalf of all beings, and in particular the beings in this region. To benefit them, we need to achieve enlightenment ourselves. We don't have to squeeze our mind, because this thought doesn't come so natural to our mind, perhaps, but just think the thought or try to feel the thought. I need to achieve enlightenment myself, without pushing your mind, without squeezing your mind. And then we think about the light on the altar in front of us, but you imagine many, many more lights, billions of lights, filling the entire space. And we also think about the mirrored field and the space in front of us. So you can think about, if you cannot think about lamas of Kappa and various lineage lamas, you can only think about, just think Buddha in the space in front of you. And then if you go down a little bit, and the text, you will see the cloud offering mantra and this prayer, we recite 3 times Aham. So, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. And then we do the cloud offering mantra. A little bit down.
Like this one?
No, yeah, okay. I don't see it on the screen
Oh,
here.
it's lagging.
Maybe, yeah. Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Brahmadana Tathagataya Arati Samesambhadaya Tayata Vajam Avajam Ateja Vajam Avija Abhurishita Vajam Abhuri Manam Pasankramana Sarvakarma Avarana Vijurana Vajisu Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Brahmadana Tathagataya Arati Samesambhadaya Tayata Vajam Teja Vajam Avija Abhurishita Vajam Abhuri Manpa Sankramana Sarva Karma Avarana Vijudana Vajisu Namo Bhagavate Vajasara Pramadana Tatagatai Arati Samasam Buddhaya Tayata Vajam Mahavajam Teja Vajam Mahavija Vajam Abhurishita Vajam Abhuri Manpa Sankramana Vajam Karma avarana vijudana vajisu. By the power of the truth of the theory of sublimes, the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the great wealth of the completed 2 collections, and the sphere of phenomena being pure and inconceivable. May these paths, the clouds of offerings, horizons of transformation by the Bodhisattvas, Arya Samantabhadra, Mayushi, and so forth, unimaginable, inexhaustible, equal in the sky, arise in the eyes of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions be received. And then we go down. So it's in the end, maybe it's page 17 or something like that. Lama Tisha's prayer. It's a bit up. Yes, yes, right up. Yeah.
It's a beautiful text. This one.
So maybe you can read it because I don't see everything here, but May the light of the lamp be equal to the great 3,000 worlds and their environments. May the wick of the lamp be equal to the King of Mountains, Mount Meru. May the butter be equal to the infinite ocean. May there be billions of trillions of lamps in the presence of each and every Buddha. May the light illuminate the darkness of ignorance of all sentient beings, from the peak of samsara down to the most tortuous hell, whereby they can see directly and clearly all the 10 directions, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and their pure lights. Om Vasha Aloke Ema. I offer these beautifully exalted, clear, and luminous lights to the 1,000 Buddhas of the fortunate eon, to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the infinite pure lands of the 10 directions, to all gurus, meditational deities, dakas, dakinis, dharma protectors, and the assembly of deities of all mandals. Due to this, may a father, mother, and all sentient beings in this life and all their future lives be able to see directly the actual pure lands of the complete and perfect Buddhas. May the unified Buddha Amitabha in inseparable oneness please bless me, and may my prayers be actualized as soon as possible, due to the power of the truth of the Triple Gem and the assembly of deities of the three Wus. Tayata Om Panchagriva Avabodhiniso. 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 So then we visualize that all these billions of lights, they then absorb into one light with it's called brilliant 5-colored wisdom. And that on a lotus and a moon disk, the syllables Om and D appear. So I think it's on the same level of this, this light. Om and D appears. And on them, 108 beautiful goddesses of light, Marmema, appear wearing beautiful garments and precious garlands. Every goddess holds lights in their hands, and from them emanate billions of trillions of infinite replicas of light offering goddesses. All of them make like offerings uninterruptedly to all the Buddhas in the Buddha fields throughout all of space, and to the peaceful and wrathful deities. And then we dedicate. Thus, due to the merits of having made such light offerings, may all the benefactors, the deceased, the migrated beings of the 6 realms benefit. May all their degenerated samaya and broken vows be restored. May all their superstitious obscurations be purified. May all their bad karma, negativities, and obscurations be purified. May the 3 rounds of samsara become empty immediately. Please grant control, power, and realizations. That's good. Enjoy lunch. There is, well, there's still a little bit. There's a little bit there.